This is my dog, Frankie. She contains the spirit of a 4,000-year-old alien creature. I listen to her for anything. Every decision I have to make, before I make that decision, I ask my dog, Frankie, what she thinks. She is merely a conduit for a greater intelligence that I use to control my life. Instead of listening to a small pug named Frankie, they listen to an old, bald Canadian man named Bashar.
Time, remember, is a side effect of your consciousness shifting over and over and over and over and over and over again to different points of view of the same single moment of existence.
Sorry, named Daryl Anka. He refers to himself as an alien. You may have seen this guy on your rounds on social media.
Tonight's session is vortex vibrations, and Bashar will be sharing with us some of the energy work that their civilization is doing with the planet and how you can participate in experiencing and supporting that energy.
I like,
Frankie, go lay down, buddy. Go lay down, buddy. Buddy. Frankie, buddy.
So today I'll be asking the question, could an alien from the future that knows everything really be using a 70-year-old bald man from Canada as its mouthpiece?
They are that ability for you to know, to connect, to be in harmony, in synchronization with the flow, the ebb of consciousness in all its forms. These crystalline portals are a way in which consciousness expresses itself.
Well, depends on who you ask, bud, because there's a lot of people who think absolutely yes, that is a real life thing.
Death is really just like waking up from a dream, because physical reality is a dream. You do understand that you're in spirit right now, yes? None of you leave spirit. That's your natural state. You are just dreaming that you've left. That's what physical reality is. A portion of your greater being in non-physical reality is pretending that it's no longer in the spirit realm. But you are there.
Daryl Anka, a spiritual medium, claims to channel an extraterrestrial entity named Bashar, using him to prophesize and give people great wisdom.
This idea of choosing to experience physical reality has many benefits that you can take advantage of for your own personal growth as a soul, as a being, as an aspect of all that is, as a reflection.
Through this connection, Anka has been delivering predictions about humanity's future and global events and sharing wisdom from our own future to guide his followers, and he's been doing so for quite a long time.
The subsequent steps in the following months that will be delivered intermittently will be all about providing you with exercises and actions that you can take that will align you more clearly with the vibrational frequency of the Interstellar Alliance as preparation for the idea of open contact.
How accurate are these predictions, and why do so many people believe them? I mean, there's a lot of followers. This is like some real life cult shit that has been blowing up on TikTok and short form social media. People are so desperate, they gotta believe something. Because if you got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. I learned from Aaron Tippin.
You got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything.
You got to be your own man, not a puppet on a string. Dumbass. So how accurate are these predictions, and why do so many people believe them?
Now, we will take a moment to remind you that we, in general, spoke of this in your year of 1998 and did mention at that time that there was, at that time, a 97% chance of what you call a terrorist strike on your New York City.
Why is this guy still growing? Why is there not some kind of little pin that's popped the whoopee cushion and let out a big stinky fart?
The idea of the rotational forces is paramount to our understanding of existence and the nature of the structure of physical reality.
along with an underlying tetrahedral template structure. That, in conjunction with the rotational spiral forces, is how physical reality increases itself, expands itself, moves itself forward.
Once again, a lot of people believe and are drawn to these extraordinary stories from this guy Bashar, even when these stories seem entirely unbelievable.
We're so excited to be back here again, and as probably you know, Bashar is in his ship above Sedona. And we don't know exactly why he chose this location to place his ship, but obviously it brought us here. And it seems it's kind of like being parked over the Bermuda Triangle or something, isn't it?
Spiritual and psychic mediums are nothing new. People love them. They love listening to people who don't know anything, and they want to hear things that validate themselves. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. People love figuring out what to do without having to have responsibility for their own actions in so many different ways, too. I'm not just talking about spiritual mediums. But anyways, it's nothing new for people to claim to be connected to the spirits of the dead or deities. People have been lying for as long as there's been people. But Daryl has put a unique spin on this trope. He does not communicate with ghosts. He does not communicate with ancient spirits from the past. He communicates with an alien, not from the past, but from the future. Yasa! Yasa!
For the last 40 years, I have been a channel for an entity that we call Bashar, which presents itself as an ET consciousness, an ET being.
Little alien from the future told me something pretty cool. If you go to sour.gg and use code Bashar, you can get 20% off your very own bags of plant-based sour gummies and or sour strips that we manufacture in Texas. This is a YouTuber brand unlike any other YouTuber brands.
Okay. This is honestly pretty good.
Please. Buy down below, please, please. Enjoy your discount code Bashar. There will only be 200 of them. Discount code Bashar. Am I legally allowed to do that? Is he gonna kill me with a energy weapon or something like that? I'm inherently skeptical of claims like this and spiritual leaders who build platforms and followings based on ambiguous and vague ramblings that sound smart when you don't pay very close attention.
We think of objects as existing in a location. They think of location as one of the properties of the object. So if you look at an object as if it has a vibrational equation signature, it has a frequency that represents that object. One component of that frequency will be the location of that object.
Also, why would he choose the random guy from Canada? Why would he choose that guy? I mean, why not me? If it was me, I'd believe it. All over YouTube, you can find videos of mediums being debunked as frauds.
Unfortunately, his life was taken. He was quite young. This was a type of cancer or illness that took his life.
And then she asked this person to type in the chat whether or not she is correct.
I'm gonna just put the chat back on to see if I am connecting properly, because there's a lot of people in here.
And this is where we find out her uncle did not die from cancer. He actually took his own life. So she's wrong. And instead of admitting her mistake, moving on, refunding the money, maybe, she does this.
Yeah, he did kill himself. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I did say his life was taken quite quickly. That is what I said.
It's exposed as clout chasers.
People have been asking me to provide evidence for the statements and allegations that Rebecca Schofield ordered, planned, initiated, and executed the murder of the 4 University of Idaho students.
In this TikTok, she would say that asking for evidence is the most ridiculous thing she's ever heard.
Now, people have been asking me for evidence, and I think that is the most ridiculous thing that I've heard.
This woman occupying space in my brain hurts my feelings, actually. I feel upset. I have like a tightness in my chest right now that I can't deal with. Or just being insane.
I think that he is primarily targeting women in the spiritual community, but that might not be the case. And I'm being called to make this video. I don't want to make this video, but I am being pushed by my spirit team to make this video and to speak my truth. One, so that I can speak my truth and have my voice heard, but also so that anyone who has been harmed by this person and could potentially be harmed by this person for the future can understand what he's doing and hopefully protect themselves.
There's a lot more content of that than there is of content of them actually doing things that is legitimate. But once again, I don't think I've said this yet, but I do believe that if you find some benefit, some value from something, and it's not hurting anybody and it's not hurting yourself, and you're fine with living in your own little small world that makes you comfortable, that's totally reasonable. But people should also be able to cast doubt on things that are insanely irrational. Just saying. I feel like, I don't know if that's true, but I feel like it should be. I love it when psychics get exposed regardless, especially ones on TikTok. We're twin flames, you wouldn't understand. We're twin flames. Hi, we're twin flames. You wouldn't understand. I'm gonna visit Bashar in his dreams tonight. All right. Remember that lady who accused somebody of the murder of 4 students and then got upset when she was asked to provide proof?
Rebecca Schofield was trying to get in touch with Jack DeCour. She was having anxiety and control issues because he was not communicating with her. Before he committed the murders, he stole Murphy back. He cared more about Murphy than he did the money.
Yeah, it's a really good example, to be honest. So is Bashar or Daryl another one of these individuals using their gifts for profit?
How this sort of unfolds is that I will go into the altered state and let Bashar come through. He will talk for a few minutes on what he thinks is important for tonight. But the majority of the session will be open for questions and answers. And what we have here is a remote mic. April's holding it right now. So if Bashar does choose you, when you call out Bashar and he picks you, just wait till the mic is handed to you so we can make sure we can get your question clearly on the tape so everyone can hear it.
Or could these messages, which he calls transmissions, be predictions and warnings of genuine origin?
I experienced to be a telepathic connection from Bashar and his people. In that one instant, an actual memory came back of having made an agreement with Bashar to do this before this life. And I understood in that moment that the UFO had been shown to me on purpose to get me to go in the direction I needed to go, so that by the time it was time for me to fulfill that agreement I had made, I would be ready.
I want to approach this with an open mind. After all, we've had a psychic reading on the channel, give us readings before.
I don't feel like any of these opportunities right now are the best thing to do. I feel like you need to take your time, think of what you want to do. So when it comes to your business, I feel you are good where you're at right now. You know, just keep working on what you're doing.
But Daryl's claims could potentially be too bizarre. Oh, too bizarre for me to follow Bashar.
Each and every time your civilization allows our civilization to interact with you in this way, it gives us an opportunity to experience through all of you, collectively, and each of you individually, another aspect, another facet of the multidimensional crystal of creation. So we thank you for this gift of sharing that forms a link and a bridge between our respective realities and co-creates with us a new third reality in which we can vibrationally interact more closely, more strongly.
So who exactly is Bashar? On his website at http://bashar.org, Daryl describes him. He is not Bashar. He is just a vessel that channels this entity known as Bashar. And Bashar is a physical ET, a friend from the future who has spoken for the past 37 years through his channel, Daryl Anka is a channel for Bashar.
For those that may be somewhat new to this, let me just give a very, very brief background as to what's going on here. I received what felt like a telepathic communication suddenly in my head. Pictures, voice, the whole 9 yards, and instantly a memory came back of having made an agreement with Bashar and his people to do this with him in this life.
Bashar uses him, reams him out, to deliver the messages and the predictions to all of us, for the greater good. Stop, dogs. Bashar Corzette some like an apple. Stop it, dumbass. And to finish that quote, he has brought through a wave of new information that clearly explains in detail how the universe works and how each person creates the reality that they experience. That's how Daryl interprets Bashar. That's how we're supposed to interpret Bashar.
The experience of physical reality as you have come to know it is actually working in synchronous harmony with all other levels of reality. And thus, a miracle is actually representative of when the universe is working most naturally.
He first discovered him in 1973 after 2 close encounters with a UFO in Los Angeles. What? This guy picked him up like a parasite?
Let's start by just, how did this whole thing start?
Well, for me, it began back in 1973. I actually had 2 very close broad daylight UFO sightings here in Los Angeles.
Daryl saw a black triangular ship twice. It was about 30 feet long on either side, 150 feet away the first time and 70 feet away the second time.
First time about 150 feet away, the second time only about 70 feet away. Both times it was an equilateral black triangular ship, about 20, 30 feet on a side.
This happened in broad daylight, according to Daryl, so he claims there were other witnesses, since one of these sightings, at least one of them, took place on a freeway.
Fortunately, I had witnesses with me both times, so I knew I had some collaboration and corroboration in that experience, in both of the experiences. But it was those UFO experiences that started me investigating what's this all about, because now I had seen something like that. I knew that the world wasn't exactly as I was taught it was, and I needed to find out what was going on.
This catalyzed Daryl's interest in the possibility of things beyond our understanding that are more significant than we currently experience existing. Years would pass and he would explore channeling and eventually realize he was channeling an entity, the same entity he'd encountered on that Los Angeles freeway.
I went into the class not because I thought I was going to become a channel. I was just trying to further my research because I didn't understand how channeling could be taught to someone. My understanding at that point was it was just sort of something that happened to you out of the blue. But in the class, I received what I can only describe as a telepathic hit.
And that he'd agree with this entity in a past life to channel him.
And in that one instant, an actual memory came back of having made an agreement to do this channeling with Bashar in this life. In that instant, I understood the UFO had been shown to me on purpose to get me to start doing the research I was doing so I would be ready by the time it came time to do the channeling.
Oh, okay, we're losing me. We're losing me already. Past lives? Are you kidding me? Past lives? What are you talking about? What the Oopaville. Energy cannot be destroyed, only transferred. Oopaville. Haven't you seen the movie The Lazarus Effect? Hey, bud, how about I pull my pants down and take a shit on the floor right here in front of you? How about that? That's the same kind of satisfaction I get as what you're getting from this, all right? I just get mine of putting my will for it. Ah! Sometimes I channel an ancient spirit known as Arlie Ermy.
What have we got here? A comedian, private joker.
He is not from the future, but from the past. He is a Marine Corps gunny sergeant, and he talks to me about the impressive ballistic coefficient of the .300 Winchester Magnum. What does he say about it? He says, I don't know. He says stuff about it, though. I don't know. Over the past 40 years, Bashar and Daryl have enjoyed a fruitful relationship. Daryl regularly allows Bashar to speak through him, which seems to always begin with the same behaviors.
Oh, this evening of your time as you create time to exist. Allow us to begin this interaction this evening of your time with the following entitlement. This, as you say, will be a bit of a mouthful.
As Bashar seizes control, Daryl will close his eyes, rock his head back and forth, and do something like cough, then recite the same greeting, "I'll say good day to you this day of your time."
All right, I'll say good day to you this day of your time.
If it's in front of a crowd, he will add, "How are you all?"
All right, I'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all?
And then he proceeds with his eyes closed and his fingertips touching like Andrew Tate. To me, it sounds like Jacksepticeye starting a YouTube video with the same spiel over and over.
Captain Emergency, ladies, my name is Jacksepticeye.
Or when Boogie would start his videos with a blurb about the power of the internet.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming to July. Let's get into the power of the internet.
Now, this is where things get even more odd somehow. Bashar/Daryl seems to be positioning themselves as a shepherd of humanity. Through Daryl Anka, he refers to himself as an extraterrestrial first contact specialist. He seems to know everything there is to know about the history of human contact with aliens and the contact we will have in the future. He's talked about how biblical angels were Anunnaki coming to guide us.
Then the Anunnaki come and guide us.
They did. What do you think some of the stories in the Bible are about?
Okay.
of angels coming down to guide you, of being led through the desert by a pillar of fire and a pillar of cloud. What do you think that's about? It's about the guidance of the Anunnaki, who recalled those who created Homo sapiens because that was against their law to do so.
Which I believe that, all right? I'm fully down with that shit, okay? That's some awesome Southern pride, awesome belief right there. This other nonsense is some hokey pokey whatever. I'm just kidding. That's an interesting theory though. He wants us to believe we are on the edge of open contact with an intergalactic community. He says we are amidst a social experiment for the Interstellar Alliance.
All right, I'll say good day to you this day of your time, and welcome once again to the transmission of the Interstellar Alliance social experiment, Step 6,
which challenges us to take steps to prepare us for open contact when that happens. These steps can be as simple as changing our daily routines.
It is not that you finish one step and then do another. All of these steps are cumulative, additive. You will continue to do step 1 while you're doing step 2. You will continue to do steps 1 and 2 while you're doing step 3. So it's not doing each step by itself, but adding each new step to the idea of your actions, to your daily routines, and so forth.
To creating your dual identity. One human and one that is a member of the Interstellar Alliance.
To begin to allow yourself to have a dual identity, that of someone identifying as an Earth human and identifying as a member of the Interstellar Alliance.
Bashar, through Daryl, has helped thousands of people to enhance their creativity in abundance, improve their mental clarity and emotional clarity, become healthier, enhance relationships, expand psychic abilities, and learn self-love, self-acceptance, and self-empowerment through his guides for navigating the human experience. Oh, bless you, Bashar. You know, it's awesome. It's kind of cool. There is some good advice too, by the way, that comes out of this. Like anything spiritual, even cult type shit, Scientology has some interesting concepts. There's a reason Dianetics so widely appealed to people. People be like, oh, this is a really cool book. Oh shit, I'm gonna go get audited. That sounds like fun. And then you realize they're insane. They're idiots. That's crazy. That sucks. A little something to it though. That's the point. There's a little something to it.
Souls of those aliens, however, lived on and all floated up towards the sky. But the evil Lord Xenu had prepared for this. Xenu didn't want their souls to return, and so he built giant soul catchers in the sky.
Bashar has shared his 5 laws of creation, which you can find on the website, along with some really cool AI-generated art. Nothing says, follow me and everything will be all right, quite like AI-generated art on your insecure website, http://. Come on, man. Where's the security? Where's the security at, man? Where's that S, brother? You exist. Everything is here and now. The one is the all, and the all are the one. What you put out is what you get back. Everything changes except the 4 basic first laws. Now, those principles, to be honest, are the same as basically every single other core principle of any ancient knowledge. Hermeticism, which I talk about on the YouTube channel quite a bit. Basically the same shit. Literally the same thing. Some of the principles of the Bible, same thing. Some of the principles of the other ones, all right? Same nonsense, all right? I mean, maybe not nonsense. Maybe they're onto something. By the way, some of it is the same. Not all of it, obviously. Some of it. Bashar also conveniently outlines for us the basic principles that are supposed to help us let go of fear, embrace our true selves, follow our passions, and recognize the interconnectedness of all things. There are more of these principles than just the laws of creation, but here are some highlights. You are a non-physical consciousness that is experiencing physical reality. Okay, I think that's fairly scientifically accurate. I think we can kind of prove that. You are here on Earth at this time because you chose to be. That seems more nonsensical, gonna be honest. There is actually only one moment in creation. Okay. Big Bang, I guess. I'm not exactly sure. Everything you experience is the same moment from a different point of view. That's complicated. I don't understand that at all. Everything you experience is another aspect of yourself. What the What about like murderers, serial killers and stuff? Is it just like it's trying to say that that is just no different really than you having like a negative thought or something? Like it's just you're hurting yourself in this sense? I don't know. You create the past and the future from the here and now. That's just reaping what you sow. That's an ancient principle. As above, so below. Now to me, that sounds like a bunch of nonsense. Same shit over and over again, just in slightly different ways. But Bashar seems trustworthy to many due to his seemingly deep knowledge and insight, or at least the way that he says things that makes them sound like wisdom because of all the fancy talk.
The conduit between your physical mind and higher mind, your spirit guides, your synchronicities, your own understandings of the choices that you have made to experience this reality. You may rely on these things to adapt this idea, this tool, in whatever way, shape, or form suits you best, individually and collectively. But the basic idea is that it will tap into, like many permission slips, the collective consciousness and unconsciousness of your civilization, the collective world spirit of your civilization, and that is why, even though you may adapt it in a very personal manner, it will have some effect on most of you, even though it is a permission slip, and you are giving yourself permission by simply using this as a reflection to become more of yourselves.
This has worked very well. Thousands of people, even hundreds of thousands of people have become dedicated followers of Bashar, similar to the people who follow the guy who invented Jelly Belly on LinkedIn. Following every chance, everything he say, it is gospel. Thank you for the post, my friend. I forget what he says on there. I don't know. He's on there though. He's crazy. That guy's on there and he's crazy. You should follow me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. Isn't that funny? I'm on LinkedIn. I don't have many circles or anything like that. I try to apply for jobs all the time. I always get turned down. So it's weird. In case you're wondering, Bashar does give himself ample wiggle room for what he says, and he preaches by saying that everything is subject to change except for the first 4 laws, which are insanely ambiguous aside from you exist. Also, those things have been written down in hundreds of different ways throughout time. You can find in any book. At any point in time, go to some kind of library and find something about spiritualism or humans or prophecy, and you'll find that. You'll find a version of that. This isn't the only way that Daryl, aka Bashar, tries to protect himself. On his website, which I'm sure was made by channeling an ancient alien being, there is a disclaimer where he tries to protect himself from criticism and potential legal trouble by saying he can't guarantee the accuracy of the information he provides and makes no guarantees. He also states that he takes no responsibility for using the information he provides and is not liable for loss or damage resulting from actions taken after taking his information, which sounds like a very convenient cop-out to me. I don't know. Hey man, here's some Nostradamus type wisdom. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, and by the way, nothing I say is real. Nothing is real. It's all fake. Don't sue me. I'm not a doctor. It's not financial advice. You invested in Bashar coin and you lost your house? Well, it was just an ancient, a futuristic entity, not an ancient one. So it's like, doesn't even exist yet. So you can't hold me accountable. Ah! Hey bud, quit squeaking. So yeah, think what you will. I think it's really interesting, and very recently it's been blowing up, and Bashar has been taking some mega swings recently, and one of these big swings is why we're talking about him today. I saw a video about Bashar weighing in on the 2024 American geopolitical landscape, sharing the 2 possible outcomes.
I am allowed to give you some very general specifics about the election in the United States. However, there must be caveats with this.
Bashar knows everything. He's already existed. He's been here. He's been now. He's been there. He been did, okay? Bashar knows who's gonna win in November. I mean, he actually does, legitimately.
The female will lead to open contact. Do I need to say more?
No.
Or he knows the outcomes or whatever. Why isn't Bashar really extremely rich, Biff style, from Back to the Future? I don't know. Why doesn't this guy use him to do some real capitalization off of himself? He's got like the little convenient disclaimer. Why not just use Bashar, channel Bashar? Oh, hello, how are you all doing? Hey Bashar, which one of these lotto tickets should I buy? That's what I'd ask Bashar for. The clip that I saw that spurred me into wanting to make this video was a clip of Bashar being asked about the election while making a public appearance in Sedona, Arizona, an area famous for spiritualists, psychics, and vortexes in the area. Let's be real, psychic vortexes.
Many believe this is the site of a mysterious energy field where the Earth's cosmic power lines meet and create 4 energy vortices. One of them, they say, is centered here at Cathedral Rock.
He drew a large crowd of stinky people, sort of like PAX or Comic-Con. He was cheered on after doing the greeting he does when he channels Bashar, and people were clamoring to hear what transmission Bashar might share.
All right, I'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right.
Bashar weighed in on the election and made the outcome of one side winning the election positive and the other side very clearly negative.
Since things are changing somewhat in the near future, I am allowed to give you some very general specifics about the election in the United States.
He says he can give us general specifics about the election. He says that if the female, that's pretty specific, there's only one female, Kamala Harris, wins, we're headed towards open contact and one step closer to joining the intergalactic community.
The female will lead to open contact.
And if the male, Donald Trump, wins, that will spell the end of the United States of America and the beginning of World War III. Thank you, Bashar.
The male will lead to the termination of the United States and World War III.
I really appreciate that. Thanks for giving us just general, thanks for keeping it vague. What the do you mean, what are you talking about? This prediction obviously stirred some controversy amongst his followers. For many years, Bashar's predictions have been purposefully vague, allowing room for interpretation and flexibility for being generous and avoiding the possibility of people calling him out for being a fraud if you're a skeptical person. Nostradamus style. Nostradamus didn't have a disclaimer though, let's be real. But in contrast of all of that, the 2024 election prediction seems very concrete. It's not really general specifics. Those are very specific things. World War, what do you mean? The end of the United States of America, what the is that? Are you speaking, what are you talking about? That's like really specific. In 907, the fall of Rome. I will join the Gauls. I feel like with this prediction, we will be able to accurately and directly test it because it's not a vague prediction. Like we'll be able to tell if this guy's wrong in 4 years, pretty much. Unless he's just like, well, actually, this is the beginning. It was a 100-year time scale, and like he'd have to be really lame to weasel his way out of that one, which he could. He'd be like, look at the disclaimer on my website surrounded by AI-generated images. I am Bashar.
If you're talking about the idea of why it exists that way fundamentally, well, again, that's simply part of all that is to experience itself this way in what you term the experience of physical reality.
The level of specificity is somewhat new for Bashar and can be seen as quite a risk for him in multiple ways. The first is the ability that we can test the accuracy of this prediction. And the second is that this prediction alienates and vilifies a portion of his audience and basically half of the country as well. Or it seems that way, I'm not exactly sure. Some people say that, others disagree. The comments below the clips of this prediction are very divided on whether or not people maintain faith in what Bashar says. You know, you start bringing in politics with your religion, it starts getting a little ugly, okay? Some of the sentiments that people share are that this is the first time he's directly injected fear into one of his transmissions, and that feels bizarre. It's like he's saying, you have to vote for Kamala Harris. I am Bashar the alien. You have to vote for Kamala Harris. I guess he ain't seen that, Bashar ain't seen that Brett Baer interview, has he? I don't fucking I don't know anything about politics.
Do not come. Do not come.
Or Bashar, really, to be honest. But I'm fired up about both. I'm excited. I'm excited about this.
I'm gonna come to the overflow room.
To acknowledge the fear injection into a transmission, that isn't exactly true. This is not the first time he's done that. We'll talk about another big prediction that he's made here soon, but people who had believed him for years seem to be showing a bit of doubt now. There are a lot of people now. There are also people mocking those people, saying that after all these years, one little political prediction is enough to shake your faith in Bashar. It's either Bashar or Trump. You gotta choose, buddy. Come on.
I'm gonna come.
Some people call him out for the contradictory statement, saying it's both general and specific, saying it can't be both, because it is very specific and it is general. It's also specific, but not general. But also it's general and specific. It's like a lot of things, and not a lot of things. It's nonsensical. It's not very wise to say, for sure. People are saying that this is just Daryl pretending to be Bashar. Conveniently. Okay, so now they're like, well, this Daryl's getting in the way of this channeling of Bashar. We trust Bashar. That's just Daryl talking. That's just Daryl. Bashar thinks you should bend over and show me that honey hole. Now that's just Daryl speaking. Yeah, I don't think Bashar would predict anything like this because the future is constantly changing and Bashar acknowledges that. Of course, though, he has a built-in excuse for why things might be inaccurate. The website disclaimer saying he does not guarantee his predictions are accurate. His website also says that he won't comment on politics in private sessions, so the fact that he would make such a bold political statement publicly is even more surprising, I feel like. But after digging more, we found that there are ways that Bashar and Daryl may weasel out of inaccurate predictions and has in the past, like when he talked about future psychic predictions. He says that psychics tune into the strongest vibration the moment the prediction is made and read the present, not the future.
No psychic ever predicts the future. There are an infinite number of probable reality futures. A psychic is picking up on the idea of the vibration that is strongest at the moment the prediction is made in the present.
If the energy doesn't change, then that prediction will be accurate. If the energy does change, then that prediction may become obsolete, and they often render themselves obsolete by making the prediction in the first place and changing the energy that was leading to the predicted outcome.
A psychic is reading the present more fully, not the future. But if that energy doesn't change, the prediction comes to pass. But often, a prediction will actually add energy in such a way as to render itself obsolete. Because when you hear a prediction that is representative of a reality you don't prefer, then you change the energy and you yourselves render the prediction obsolete.
AKA, a lot of nonsense and rambling and just ways to say that this isn't real. What's wrong with you? Of all the ramblings I've heard from Daryl Bashar, this is the one that makes the most sense to me.
Doesn't mean the prediction was wrong. Means you've rendered it obsolete by being made aware of where the energy was at the moment the prediction was made. And if you don't like it, you can change it. That's how to use psychic ability, is expanding your awareness of what's going on more fully here and now so you can really chart the course you really wish to chart.
One good thing is that Daryl / Bashar have been consistent in the insight into psychic predictions over the years.
And a psychic isn't really predicting the future. They're sensing the energy that exists at the moment the prediction is made. And they're sensing what the probable pathway is that that energy would take you on if you didn't change it. So sometimes a prediction can actually render itself obsolete if you don't like where it says you're going.
This isn't the first or the last prediction that Bashar has transmitted. Bashar has also predicted that a UFO-related event towards the end of 2026 or the beginning of 2027 will lead to the beginning of open contact, but I guess with the caveat that Kamala Harris has to win. I'm not sure.
That somewhere around your year of 2026 to 2027, Earth will experience a major contact event. We will not go into, at this time, the circumstances on your planet that will create the opportunity for this event, but suffice to say that certain conditions, certain choices, certain scenarios will accelerate the need for this event.
But only if Kamala, I think her name is Kamala. I say Kamala, and I think that's disrespectful. I apologize. There are no specifics in this instance, but somewhere in that time, it should become clear that we're not alone in the universe. 2026, 2027. We're gonna see a UFO, a space UAP. Yes! I love it. So those are some predictions about the future. How about some of the predictions that Bashar has made in the past that have come and gone? He's been doing this shit for 40 years. He's got to have quite a track record of being wrong, I feel like. I mean, at this point, this is where it gets a little bit interesting, okay? While we could not find any original recordings from 1998, Daryl has appeared on podcasts where he discussed Bashar predicting 9/11.
Those are the only times he's actually made a prediction. One of them he made, I believe it was in 1998. And this is on the recording at the time, where he did say that there was a high probability that there would be a terrorist attack in New York before the end of 2001. Obviously, that happened.
Though he had allegedly predicted it would be a nuclear attack. So, a little bit different. And also, I mean, I feel like I could have predicted that, you know? It's not like it was kind of it's not like it just came out of nowhere, right? Like, let's be real here. It's kind of like there's a lot of movies about it, and then it happened and stuff. Like, you know, did the people who made the movies about it, did they know? Did they predict it? No, it's just like it's a thing that could happen and it's likely. Okay, anyways, so he was wrong. It was a nuclear attack. He referenced this prediction again shortly after the 9/11 attacks in October 2011. 6 minutes into this video. This is an old video.
Now, we will take a moment to remind you that we, in general, spoke of this in your year of 1998 and did mention at that time that there was, at that time, a 97% chance of what you call a terrorist strike on your New York City. At the time, we included the possibility of it being nuclear in nature.
Side note, by the way, while looking for that recording, we found that Bashar sounds utterly different in old recordings compared to newer ones.
Again, it is up to you to decide to participate, but we will provide you with something that will allow you to practice identifying yourself as a member of the Interstellar Alliance.
We find this odd because if Bashar teaches that every moment happens simultaneously, how would his accent,
exchange, interaction, relationship,
tone of speech, and cadence,
I'm going to take a gamble, Jill,
change drastically over the decades?
But we understand that you have seasons in which you focus on certain ideas.
It seems like a gradual change stemming from human interaction with time, not a change that would be experienced by an ET that doesn't experience time the way that we do, right? Seems like it's convenient, right? Another side note, by the way, also while looking through these recordings from October of 2001, we found that at 37:10 to 38:45 into part 2 of the 2-hour transmission, Bashar says that there are only 4 laws compared to there now being 5 laws, which seems like another discrepancy. If Bashar is an entity that doesn't experience time the way that we do and experiences every moment as a constant, why the f would the number of laws change?
There are but 4 laws, and the idea of cause and effect is one of them. Vibration, in that sense, is all there is to physical reality, and in that sense, therefore, vibrational resonance creating cause and effect does dovetail with what you are talking about.
The laws for creation change. That doesn't make any sense. 10 years, 20 years is like a blink of time for a futuristic ET, but for a regular ass guy named Daryl, plenty of time to make changes. Yeah, that's the problem about saying you're channeling a futuristic ET that knows the future, is that you have to be really consistent. You know, you got to be really consistent. Compared to now, the law missing in this transmission is law number 2 on the website. Everything is here and now, which I guess everything used to not be here and now until he added that everything was here and now, and then everything was at that point here and now. Conveniently, I'm surprised there's not a disclaimer with some, you guessed it, AI art. Guys, that's my joke. That's how I make jokes. You know, little inside jokes between me and you. Oh, press the like button. Hey, thank you for watching. Press the like button. Sorry, that wasn't me. That was a futuristic extraterrestrial entity, clout-chasing goblin. Because of the bombshell claim that he predicted 9/11, keep trying to find the recording of Bashar, Basherverse, Bashar predicting 9/11, and I found a Reddit thread from 9 years ago listing his predictions, and something is interesting from it. It lists a bunch of his predictions, including the year the prediction was made, what the prediction was, and the quote of him predicting the upcoming event, the result, and when available, a source for that. Some of these predictions came to fruition, like predicting the 1997 UFO sighting, the Phoenix Lights, where my idol Kurt Russell was involved.
What I'm looking at here is a light on South Mountain. You can see this light flickering over our mountain over here.
Bashar predicted that this event would happen again around March 2007, but it occurred in February 2007, so it's pretty close.
If you saw this in the skies over South Florida, would you call me and say, hey, Rob, get a news camera over here? There's something weird going on? Well, these formations appeared last night in the sky over downtown Phoenix, as you see there. The same light formation appeared over parts of Arizona 10 years ago.
He also seemingly predicted a nuclear meltdown in Japan in 2004, saying it would happen within 5 to 10 years, and Fukushima occurred in 2011 within that window. So those are two interesting things, right? Two pretty interesting things. Okay.
Powerful earthquake triggered tsunami that swept through the facility.
So that's kind of cool. But unfortunately, it's just the Reddit source, and when you click on the video source, it's not actually there. Can't see the prediction. Tried to find it, couldn't find it. So that's odd, but it's not as strange as when I try to click on source links for the predictions that did not come true. Bashar allegedly predicted a nuclear strike in the Middle East in 2006, saying it was a 98% certainty. This has yet to happen. And when I try to follow the source link, I see that the video was removed due to Bashar Communications Incorporated copyright claiming the video. I'm assuming from the future. I'm assuming that it's Bashar acting out and not a guy trying to protect his business assets or something like that. I'm not sure. The same copyright takedown shows when I tried to follow the link to the video of Bashar's prediction of 9/11 being a nuclear strike. So future Bashar doesn't like it when past Bashar is just making shit up. Is Bashar a copyright abusing internet influencer as well as being a futuristic ET? Trying to prepare humanity for the intergalactic insemination event? Show me your honey hole! I'm not sure, and we cannot say one or the other for sure. So yeah, he doesn't want that, kind of information getting out there, which I totally understand. I mean, I totally understand the guy's got a business to run. He also has a policy section for private sessions on the website stating that recordings of sessions must remain private and should never be posted to social media platforms, specifically YouTube, Vimeo, and Facebook, but not limited to those sites like TikTok, vidIQ, Kick, right? He needs to start kick streaming. He needs to use his magic powers for some gambling. That's what I want to see. I want to see, what do I bet on, dude? How's the NFL shake out? Who wins the Super Bowl? Tell me, Bashar. Help us. Help us. You really want to help us? Help us. I'll follow you. If you start helping me, bud, show me that honey hole. Now, to circle back to the alleged copyright abuse, I can't say if it's copyright abuse per se, all right? But I do like the idea that an alien from 300 years into the future is basically the same as Brent Rivera and cares deeply about monetary wealth in the 21st century for some reason, and also censorship of certain predictions or whatever I'm not sure. Big question comes in here. If you're this guy, if you're influencing people and you're like, okay, hey, let's make the world a better place, and like, you got to listen to me. I'm the conduit between you and salvation, really. I feel like people who posit themselves in such a position should not, A, the people who are listening to them, or B, profit off of them. I feel like both those things are massive red flags and so convenient and stupid. For example, prosperity gospel, nonsense, cringe, Rajneesh Param, that guy, everybody, and look how that ended up, all right? Bio-terrorism, okay? Bashar, obviously not nearly as bad as any of those people. I mean, not even on the same wavelength. But there's a lot to be said from the, making money from it and stuff. Being really famous on TikTok and posting to YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Vimeo. He does a lot of private sessions, interviews, etc. Private sessions supposedly cost between $150 and $300 an hour. And while we're loosely comparing Bashar to a shitty influencer, with the rise of social media platforms, Daryl Anka has been sure to capitalize on the new platforms and trends with over 160,000 subscribers on YouTube and just about the same amount of followers on Instagram. So he's a social media genius, which I'm not sure which part of that falls into the laws of creation, but we've mentioned that Bashar will have his private sessions, and they cost between $150 and $300 an hour. Usually they last for about an hour. He said that he does about 4 to 5 private sessions a week.
I'll schedule whatever is convenient because I do it for the public once a month on Zoom, but I also do private sessions of 3 or 4 times a week.
And they're currently unavailable. His calendar is completely full, so he's booking a lot of private sessions with people who are trying to find the cost of these sessions. We stumbled upon a thread where people who had inquired in the past and one who had booked a session, and that person said that it was about $300 an hour. Point is there's a lot of money to be made from these private one-on-one sessions between Bashar. I mean, yeah, it's like he's a god, right? You're just like talking to, he's channeling, what the f? You just can talk to that guy for 300 bucks? That's what that's worth? It wouldn't like the rulers of the world be using it? It's just a cheat code? You can just pay this guy $300 and I can just know shit that's important? That makes no sense. Somebody put this guy in the cabinet, all right? Get this guy in politics ASAP. Daryl does tons of interviews to eat. This guy is incredibly prolific as a creator. If you search for Bashar on YouTube, you'll likely see interviews he's done talking about Bashar and the Bashar transmissions, his teachings, etc. I don't know if he charges for those interviews or if those are seen as like free promo for his content. Regardless, this will funnel people into his channels and websites where you can purchase all of his transmissions individually. In case you didn't know, all of his transmissions are sold separately. Okay, you can purchase his transmissions, guys. Prices range from $15 for an older audio recording from the 80s and 90s, or upwards of $30 to $40 for transmissions from 2024, because those are more valuable because they're newer and time is a flat circle. Or no, what does he say? Everything. Why would the older ones be cheaper? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense based on the laws of power or the laws of creation or whatever they called it. I don't remember. So if you want to listen to everything from just 2024 so far, you're looking at 300 bucks for the audio, 400 bucks for the video. You multiply that by how many years you want to listen to him, and the cost really starts to add up. And this seems like it's less of an investment and less of a truth pursuit of knowledge, pursuit of prophecy, getting to the bottom of living and what it means to be alive, and more so a business for Daryl, all right? Or you could sign up for Bashar TV, which is Daryl's version of HBO Max, except horrible. You can view your purchases there. I'm not really exactly sure. It doesn't seem like it's working right now. Lest we forget about the other merchandise that Bashar has available on his website. $230 crystals. They seem similar to that thing that Russell Brand is selling now, is $200 plus Wi-Fi blocking amulet.
Luckily, I wear this magical amulet from Aztec that keeps me safe.
He sells books, posters, coffee mugs, notebooks. There's a lot to gain, not that much to lose from Daryl or Bashar. It seems like, well, maybe there is a lot to lose if he gets proven to be a liar, and that's why he would maybe copyright strike videos. I'm not sure. For this kind of racket, you really need trust to succeed and really acquire those financial gains and keep improving our profit quarter over quarter. I think that's why maybe this divisive prediction over our election is so puzzling to so many people, myself included, especially when it seemingly goes against Bashar's intentions. On the Bashar website, he talks about the information that he shares, saying he will never share information in any way that aggrandizes or props up one belief or approach over another. I would say that claiming one presidential candidate will literally cause World War III and end the United States as we know it probably goes against that philosophy. I think. It's just my personal opinion. I don't know a lot. I'm kind of stupid myself. And to be fair, I don't have a future alien, 300 year in the future alien spreading his honey hole in my prefrontal cortex on repeat. Whenever I try to use my mind's eye to visualize something, I see an apple spinning in every angle, 24 directions. Every single angle is a different monochromatic feel in my mind. That's what I see whenever I close my eyes. It's weird. I've always seen it too. I remember it being in kindergarten. My teacher was like, visualize an apple or whatever. Or like, she probably didn't say that shit. I wouldn't have understood that. But it was like, try to see it in your brain. Imagine it in your brain. And all these other dumbass kids were like, oh, a triceratops. Oh my God, a tree. And I was just like, oh, a monochromatic apple. What is this? And now I just see it all the time. So anyways, another supposed channel on TikTok, Modern Monarch, an individual who claims to be a starseed.
Dear One, now that your governments are forced to reveal all information that has been withheld from the public about our ships, about all interactions with us, in October this will be a massive disclosure in the forms of everyone knowing that we exist.
Which, you know, that's dumb as f***. Has reacted to this prediction from Bashar, saying that he doesn't trust Bashar, doesn't trust this transmission, and feels like it's forced manipulation.
I personally don't trust the energetic being known as Bashar, nor do I trust this transmission. It felt like a forced manipulation versus an actual representation of timelines that this being is tuning into. Whenever I channel, I always trust my body to tell me who I can trust, who I can speak to, who is congruent with their words and actions, physically and also energetically. And so the same thing for you. Trust your discernment with all messages that come through on the online space. For you are your best guide, and you can also trust yourself throughout this awakening.
I would be lying if I said that this wasn't the video that I saw first. I saw this guy and I was like, oh my God, it's the guy from Barry. I love that guy. I gotta listen. He looks like a starseed. Like, that's a good look. He's got a good look going for him. Normally, this wouldn't be something that I'd pay too much attention to, but since we talked recently about Shannon Blake,
happiness lies in the eyes of the beholder.
It jumped out to me that a supposed starseed would call out Bashar. It's becoming a civil war between alien connected beings on our planet, starseeds fighting over politics. I don't see how Daryl or Bashar can refute Modern Monarch either without calling him a liar by claiming to be a starseed. Bashar has talked about starseeds extensively, calling them hybrid children.
Well, the hybrid children are the result of what is typically referred to as the hybrid program or agenda.
He talks about them in several different interviews, saying that they're essentially hybrids of humans and aliens, which is what these starseed individuals seem to believe that they are.
And that means that if it is true that people are reporting abductions and the creation of hybrid babies and all this kind of stuff, that would mean they're not really alien. It would mean they might be another form of human.
It all feels like incredibly cultish, narcissistic things at the end of the day that if we were to have a societal collapse would cease importance in a moment's notice. As soon as human beings are thrust back into natural selection and the laws of nature, these things will no longer exist. The only things that will exist are things that people take advantage of. Food, having kids and not all dying a horrible, painful death, etc. You know what I'm saying? Gardens. So anyways, what do you guys think? If it's all fake, does it invalidate the good that people find from it? Like if he says something good and it makes you feel better and you feel less fear and you feel like, oh, that's kind of something that I've been needing to hear. That's not bad, right? There's good in everything. You can always find the good in every chunk of wisdom. There's always something to be had from all of this. And that's how I approach it realistically. It is fun to talk some shit and try to be rational. I do enjoy that a lot. But at the same time, a lot of it is true. A lot of it's just inalienable realities that we live in. And it does help to think about things in a certain way. You don't need to be a Buddhist to recognize it. You don't need to be a Basharist to recognize it, a Christian, whatever you want to do. It's always good to try to enrich the lives of as many people as you possibly can. And things that are trying to do that without doing too much bad, in my book, are totally cool. I feel like Bashar is definitely doing that. He's trying to enrich the lives of many people, and he's not doing anything particularly bad aside from maybe charging people for stuff. But it's nonsensical. I would never believe it or do any of it, but I don't think you're an idiot for doing it. Actually, I kind of do, but like in a more fun way. Like I'd still be friends with you. I'd still talk to you, Still have some respect for you. Not intellectually, but yeah. That being said, it's hard not to hear about Bashar and Daryl and just write that shit off immediately as lunacy. The mind quickly drifts to other spiritual and religious leaders who have become popular after positioning themselves as enlightened. Mentioned already, Rajneeshpuram. Think about also Marshall Applewhite, who led the Heaven's Gate cult until its demise in 1997 because he and his wife Bonnie believed themselves to be communicating with extraterrestrials.
Those who are trying to prepare themselves for entry into the evolutionary level above human, synonymous with the kingdom of God the kingdom of heaven.
And that the only way to move on to the next plane of existence was to pass beyond this one. Bashar similarly echoes that sentiment.
What does Bashar say about death?
Well, it's where we are. In other words, that's where we live. We are in spirit right now. It's basically like stepping from one room to another. There's nothing strange about it. It's literally like waking up from a dream.
So yeah, just one schizophrenic trip really kind of separates Bashar maybe from these people. I don't know. Be careful, I guess. Jim Jones, David Koresh, both believe themselves to be messengers of God. You're telling me it's raining, you're pissing down my back. I've always wanted to say that in a video and just haven't had the courage until now. Just to be very clear, these are very extreme examples that I'm bringing up. This is where the mind drifts to when I think about people like this, people who position themselves in this type of, thing. It's weird. Be careful. Anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think about Bashar down below. Press the like button, go to sour.gg, buy some fucking candy, hit the subscribe button, use code Bashar for 20% off, only 200 of those codes, which is actually quite a bit. Go to the Gump Club to watch these videos uncensored, and I will see you in the next video. Oh!